Hello. Thank you for watching. For some reason, possibly masochism, despite my best common sense, my best emotional safety, and the advice of loved ones close to me, I finished watching Iron Fist on Netflix. My initial impressions stand, and the show, so you know, got worse. Don't even bother watching it. Just go on to Netflix now. Give it like a 1, maybe 2 stars if you're having a good day and want to be positive. But over and above that, don't bother. It got worse. It actually got worse, which is impressive because the first couple episodes were pretty bad to begin with. In fact, I didn't even finish watching the second one and I'm like, this is really bad. So, Iron Fist, Vin Jones' acting never got any better. He continued to act like basically a messed up 15-year-old. In fact, it was sort of, in Order of the Phoenix in Harry Potter Book 5, he's 15, and that's kind of the whole thing of this is like, dude, you're 15, you're kind of a bag because you're 15. Your dad did all this stuff that you found out, and he was kind of a bag when a lot of this happened. He was 15, 16, he was a kid. Now, granted, I'm not a biggest proponent of James Potter anyway. I think he never really grew out of being that big of a bag. But anyway, but that was sort of the point. And I know what other people are going to say because I read it online. But no, you grow up on a hardcore, what looks like Buddhist monastery. That's a city of heaven. You go through all the martial arts training he did, and you're able to do all the things that he can, and open up all these blockages and make all the Iron Fist come out of his thing. He defeated a dragon. He's supposed to be worthy. He wouldn't be able to do that if he hadn't at least gotten over some of what was going on inside of him. And I apologize for that. Someone down the street likes to think those little mini crotch rocket things is actually a good idea and hasn't learned what a muffler is yet. But anyway, so, and I can understand him coming in the first time he's been in New York since he was like 10, 15 years later. I can appreciate some sort of naivete from that. Yes, I can appreciate that, okay, he thinks some of these people he grew up with, he remembers Ward's kind of was a sociopath to him before, but this is the only family he knows. I can understand him being taken advantage of, sort of innocent. I can understand that. I can understand even a few moments of, I found out what really happened to me and my family, either with Gal or with Harold Meacham, getting kind of pissed off. I can understand all that. But when you spend the entire of the show acting like a petulant 15-year-old at best, I don't buy it. You're not a kung fu master. Besides the fact that absolutely none of your physicality was in any way acceptable. When he tried to do the solo forms, when he tried to do the solo routines, even the Qigong, he looked like someone on Saturday Night Live making fun of Iron Fist. He still looked like David Duchovny pretending to be Jeff Goldblum on fake Celebrity Jeopardy. He still looked like that. It's just terrible. Whoever trained him for like a day, for a couple hours, like, all right, here's your stuff, whatever. Went on drinking and just, okay, fine, you're good. It was just, this between my cat and my pug is more interesting now. I just rewatched Age of Ultron. Elizabeth Olsen doing all this, pretending with nothing around her, no glowy stuff, no even people around her, was physically more believable. Yeah, that had more drama. That was more, I couldn't really show it well, but still, that was more interesting and had more drama than anything Finn Jones did physically. The writing, the plot construction and narrative, and the way the whole show was put together never got any better. It's like they took the worst parts of Lost when they just went, we're going to make everything really convoluted and then kind of throw a shitty explanation there at the end. They tried to do that, only they didn't even bother to try a shitty explanation at the end. They made a lot of things convoluted. They added a whole other section of the hand that wasn't Madame Gao's thing. And then they threw that in there. And then Madame Gao's version of the hand was sort of like, oh, we're really tough. And okay, well, whatever. And then this other thing of the hand, and we can't, okay, whatever. Oh, and Harold Meacham, he's some weird zombie evil thing that's getting crazier. And then we just, okay. You know, oh, they never really showed his body at the end either. Oh, they tried to fake really dead. Oh, no, he's not dead. And oh, he fell over in the thing. But they never actually showed him dead. Great. The show was still about 60 or 70% Meacham as opposed to the eponymous lead character. And I don't know if that's A, because they didn't know what the fuck they're doing with that show anyway. B, they realized Finn Jones couldn't carry the show. Or C, they just sort of liked writing the dialogue with them. That being said, I think the person who played Ward, the person who played Joy Meacham, tried their very, very best with what they had. And actually, Ward had probably the best character arc through the thing. I mean, they made him a sociopath. They made him do Lady Macbeth for a couple episodes. He wasn't even in a couple episodes. I think that was probably better for him. And then he kind of actually evolved towards the end. And I think a lot of that has to do more for the actor than the writing. And Joy was kind of... She did the best she could with what she had, with really wasn't a lot or realistic. The best people in it were people who weren't originally from that show. Carrie-Anne Moss as Jerry Hogarth did great as her character. She was believable. She was on point. She came in, stole the scene she was in. Again, Rosario Dawson as Claire Temple was amazing. She was really good. She did probably one of the best jobs with the material that she had, which really wasn't that good either. And then she was able to actually be one of the only likable, honest people in that whole show. In fact, Madame Gao and Claire were probably the two most honest people in that thing. And Madame Gao is criminal leader of the hand. And she was probably, besides Claire, the most honest, maybe even likable person on the whole show. Tells you something, that people who weren't even originally from that show were the best ones in it. They had one point where Danny's buddy from Kunlun shows up, and then they have conflict because he wanted to be Iron Fist, and he felt that Danny snaked it from him, and then he ran away, and he didn't really give a decent reason why he did. He kind of had this whole, kind of didn't feel like he should have been, and wasn't what he expected, so it really wasn't explained very well. It just kept on being more convoluted. But apparently this Davos guy does have the power to take aluminum foil from a food truck, origami it into a little shuriken, and that shuriken is strong enough to get stuck in a thick metal door. Kid you not. Kid you not. Crappy 80s ideas from ninja movies that people wrote completely wasted on coke made it into this show, and people are trying to tell me that it's a good show. Now, I know some of what I bring up is some of the fighting and some of the martial arts thing. It's my background. I have a certain amount of experience, a certain amount of training, a certain amount of expectations. Some of that expectation has been based on my training. Some of that expectation is based on the fact that I like Asian movies, and I like Asian martial arts movies, and I like the whole idea with a lot of the Asian martial arts movies that you saw with like Kurosawa, or when you watched like Donnie Yen fights or old Jet Li fights, not the new ones where it's not him doing anything at all, he just sort of shows up on camera once in a while, but the old ones, you know, you get these big wide shots and you can see them actually doing their stuff. It's actually them. You can see it, and it's not this, which all action movies and stuff now is this. And it gives me migraines, and it just makes me go, there's no artistry to it. There's convoluted choreography. It's not the people. It's not interesting. There's nothing about it that's interesting. There's no art to it. There's just we're getting your blood pumped and we're getting your anxiety and adrenaline going because there's a lot of shaky stuff and quick jump cuts to show you that this isn't the person doing it. To try and fool you and to try and get you up. But it's fake and it's convoluted and it's messy and it's nasty. And if you add that to a poor performance by the lead character, to poor writing, to poor directing, to just a whole thing that didn't have an identity of itself. You know, as much, I know this is a relatively unpopular opinion with people who like the Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff, but Jessica Jones really wasn't that great of a show. I know people are like, oh man, it was fucking awesome. It really wasn't. It really wasn't. Like, the whole thing was pretty one note. But the good thing about it compared to Iron Fist is that it had that one note and it knew what it was and it stayed to that note. You know, even Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a better show, and that's just a tropey, boring mess. And that was still a better show. At the very least, it had Clark Gregg being awesome as Coulson, and Meng Wen Na not being allowed to do anything but just like super racist, cold dragon lady kung fu chick. But even that was better. There was this one bit towards the end. They're in China, and there's someone 100 yards away who's not petting him, so he's getting bent out of shape. Anyway, there's a fight between Danny Rand, the Iron Fist, and this guy who's doing drunken boxing. And this Asian guy, terrible Cockney accent. First I thought it was bad Australian, then it went bad Cockney, and then it just sort of just went, I don't even fucking care anymore. Now, I don't know, I kind of want to give that other guy credit that he was fighting down to the level of Finn Jones instead of making Finn Jones fight up to the level of him. Because some of the acrobatic-y stuff he did okay, but a lot of the stuff when it was actually getting into the style of it. Now, I've never practiced drunken style, but I've done a little bit of research into it, and I've seen it in people doing demos and tournaments. I've seen people actually perform it competing in tournaments. I've seen a ton of stuff with it. It looks kind of fun, and this guy was barely intermediate, and he's beating the crap out of Iron Fist with it. Now, from what I understand, that's one of the guys who was in the lead to be Danny Rand Iron Fist, which would have taken out some of the argument against the show, as that there should have been an Asian individual put in as the eponymous character. I would go so far as to also say maybe Chinese or Tibetan, because, sorry people, Asian people aren't interchangeable. Regardless of Memoirs of a Geisha, or what you see in anything where the Korean person is playing Hawaiian, or the Chinese person is playing a Japanese person, or the Japanese person is playing who knows. Asian people, Middle Eastern people, Mediterranean, they're not interchangeable parts. They're not Legos that will all fit in together. Sorry, Indian people and Middle Eastern people, again, aren't interchangeable. So if, you know, I would maybe take a step further if you wanted to go that route. But if the writing wasn't any different, and this guy was really as sort of mediocre as that drunken fight made him seem, the show wouldn't have been any different in terms of a piece of artistry. It still would have been a clunky, uncohesive, yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Incohesive, no? Incohesive, I'm just going with that right now. Kind of piece of trash. Yeah, so don't watch it. Don't even bother. but do go and tell Netflix to not renew it for another season. Put like a 1 star, 2 stars at most, because even though they might be seeing numbers from idiots like me who actually just kept watching it, I wasn't even watching it for hope at that point. It was just sort of like I kind of wanted to see where this hot mess went. It wasn't even that. It was like, I don't know. Maybe I just felt bad because it was like, you go to someone's house and they're like, here, cool, have this, and you eat something and it's bad, but you're just like, I need to keep sort of swallowing this down to be polite. I don't even know. It wasn't even that. Maybe I just really needed something to bitch about. That's possible. But yeah, and the fact that they tried to make, I just read myself up again. So you had the one hand with Madame Gao, and that kind of went because there's this other sort of pseudo-military boys' town sort of thing, and I come to find out they're the hand too, but a different faction of the hand with a less clear goal on things. And Colleen, the girlfriend's with them too, but then she finds out what they're about, and no, we're not with them anymore either. And then they're kind of done. And then Faramir is just losing it, and then he's just sort of done. It was trying to find something redeemable about it is really, really hard. The most redeemable things I can say I've already said. That the people from the other shows did a really good job. The guy who was Ward carried off an arc with the acting that I don't know was actually intended, but he pulled it off and did well. I think Joy did the best with what she could. Yeah, that's about the best that I can come up with. So out of 13 episodes, a couple people did the best they could with what they had, and people from other shows did the best job from it. So, winner. So yeah, that's all I got. Second, last impressions of Iron Fist. I'm sure there's other things that I could go off with, but it's probably just going to be more of about the same. Just kind of how bad it is and was, and don't even bother. I don't, again, Defenders hasn't come out, so I don't know how well it's going to tie into that. I would imagine that they're going to probably bring you up to speed as best as they can in whatever frame they have for their episodes. So if you're already caught up on like Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, don't worry about Iron Fist. You'll probably be brought into what you need if you're going to watch Defenders. I still kind of have hope for Defenders because I think the people from the other shows aren't going to let their stuff get messed up. I think they might actually already be done filming, so I don't know if they're going to go back because of how bad Iron Fist is and try and work on that. I don't know. But there's a lot of people who did a lot of work on those other shows to make it at least palatable in some instances. Like I've already watched both seasons of Daredevil more than once. I'll probably watch Luke Cage again. I'm caught up with Jessica Jones again. I thought it was pretty one note, kind of boring. But I'm caught up with that. Iron Fist I have absolutely no need to ever even recognize again beyond bitching about it here. So that's it. Save yourself the time, save yourself the trouble. For some reason I kept going and finished it. Yeah, don't bother. Tell other people not to bother. Rate it poorly on Netflix so they can step their game up. And I know not every show is going to be Daredevil, not every show is going to be Stranger Things. And maybe in order to have really, really good shows like that, you have to have really, really bad shows like Iron Fist just to sort of balance the force with it. But sloppy show, not great acting, terrible fight scenes for a show that should be a martial arts show. Sorry, excuse me. Terrible fight scenes. Just awful. Horrible. Bad. Blah. I mean, I spent a lot of the show going, come on. When one of those kind of things. Yeah. So, all right. Like, subscribe, all that other good stuff before you head on over to Netflix and rate down the whole Iron Fist garbage. And this is the way we take our art into our hands and we tell people this is what's good, what isn't, and hopefully we can get more good than bad, which I think generally Netflix does and MCU has generally done for that. There are characters, I mean, if you would have told me a few years ago, I'd have been really excited for Captain America movies, and I wouldn't give two fucks at all about anything going on with Batman. I would have said, you're insane. There we are. You know, Ant-Man was a good movie. These Batman things. So, enjoy good art, or art that makes you... I mean, you know what? Honestly, I'm going to put this out there too, just as a final thing. If you do watch Iron Fist, and you do like it, okay, fine, cool. You're a better person than I am, and I'm not saying that to be a dick. I'm saying that because you're able to find something enjoyable about something that I didn't see it in. So good on you for that. You like the fight scenes? Cool. You enjoy it? Great. Cool. My opinion on it will be different. And we can be cool with that. And on that note, enjoy. Bye.